One of the most powerful voices regarding aerospace issues is the Aerospace Industries Association, run by former Army Secretary Eric Fanning. He sat down with the Defense News deputy editor Aaron Mehta this week to talk the Trump administration's new arms export rules and what he's planning in his new role atop AIA.
About a week ago, the Trump administration put out new rules on exporting unmanned systems as well as conventional arms transfers. This is something AIA has been pushing for in various ways for several years now.
Right.
What's your first reaction to the announcements that came out?
Well, anytime a president makes a statement or a push on something, it's important. And so we think it's a very strong and very important first step in something that's needed some fixing for a very long time. First of all, technology is changing and our policies haven't caught up with that. So updating the drone export controls is an important step to make sure we're not ceding marketplace, commercial, civilian marketplace to other countries. And then on security cooperation, it's not about getting to yes or changing no's to yes. It's about getting the right answer quickly and transparently, and that benefits everybody. There's nothing worse than talking about selling something to an ally or a partner and then just having it lost in the system and eventually having them buy it from another country. They want to buy from the United States. We have the best equipment. We want them to buy when it's appropriate because it brings down the cost for us. It increases interoperability with other forces. It means that other countries have more capability to help us in a fight or perhaps do things on their own that we don't have to do anymore. And it benefits our economy and this amazing workforce in the aerospace sector.
You've been inside the Pentagon, you've seen all the different services, you're now outside the Pentagon looking in. What is it that actually causes some of these programs to stall out or just go very slowly when everyone wants it to happen?
There's no one owner of the process. It cuts across many different parts of government. It's not just a DoD decision. And because it's not a clear process with a single owner with lots of transparency, there are multiple stages in the process where essentially someone can pocket veto by just not accelerating it forward. And getting it unstuck is hard because it's hard to identify where it is stuck in the system. And we lose a lot of opportunities when that happens. And obviously, we should have very robust debates about who we're going to sell advanced technology to, very sophisticated weapons to. But if it's a close ally and a close partner with whom we fight all the time, train with all the time, and have done for decades, it doesn't make any sense to not make this an easier process because of all the benefits that we realize as a country.
One of the things that you'll hear as a counterpoint to this is people say the United States is the largest exporter of weapons. It's something like 36% of weapons exports in the world. Why does the U.S. need to sell more? Should maybe even be selling less? We have plenty of industry. We've got plenty of allies using our stuff. Why should the U.S. sell more? What do you say to that argument?
Well, I don't really understand the question actually, because you're talking about 1/3 of arms sales. We don't want them all because there are a lot of places we don't want to sell to. But where it's an ally or a partner that we train with and that we fight with, it makes sense for them to have our platforms. It's our workers, it's our companies, it's feeding into our ability to keep investing in the technology innovation in the future. It's interoperability so our forces can fight better together. And it's making sure that our allies have the right capabilities so that they can do things on their own without us.
So was there anything in the export policy, either on the drone side or the conventional arms transfer, that surprised you? Because there were some people in the UAV market certainly who expected a somewhat different push than what actually came out.
I wouldn't say anything surprised us because we were waiting to see what they were going to roll out. I mean, we'd heard a lot of different things. The important thing from our perspective is that it's a great first step. Now we've got a 60-day review period where they're going to get input from industry. We're going to play a part of that, of convening industry to give the industry's perspective on what's important and what's not. And we're also advocating for a framework. We want a security cooperation strategy where we debate what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing, so that it's the future, the roadmap is clear to everyone who needs to be a part of it. So industry is ready for what that strategy calls for, the department is ready for what that strategy calls for, and everybody's had a chance to debate what makes sense in terms of what we want to do with security cooperation. We don't want other countries' stuff integrated into these networks, these battle systems with our equipment, because it makes our equipment vulnerable. You don't want a foreign a competitor, an adversary's radar system, for example, sitting next to your Joint Strike Fighter.
Right, the big one is Turkey, of course, buying the Russian air defense system in the same network. It's going to have F-35s.
Yeah, and if you're worried about what countries are going to do with these weapons, with these platforms going forward, we continue to maintain some control over them when we sell them because of the supply chain. Spare parts, maintenance, all that type of thing gives you a lot of control over the platforms going forward.
You mentioned the 60-day review, which is something from the conventional arms transfer policy change. Can you just walk us through what kind of the discussions you had with the administration before this announcement and what you expect those discussions to look like for the next 60 days?
Well, I think the discussion with the administration goes back to the transition. AIA and other associations, organizations were asked for ideas, and this is one of the ideas that we put forward. It just seemed like the opportunity to clarify this process would be a win-win for us and for our allies. And the administration's been working on it since the inauguration. And I would use other models we're working through right now, like in the Department of Defense, the industrial base review process. It has been a very iterative and collaborative process where they come to us, they get our input, our ideas, they go back, they put their thoughts together, they come to us again, put it in front of us, ask for our review, our reaction to it, and I expect it to be much like that. I think as we've watched this unfold to get to the announcement last week, it has been an iterative, collaborative process, and so I have no reason to think it wouldn't continue that way.